Joining us on our Newsmaker line right now to talk about this and other forms of child abuse as well is JoDee Neal. JoDee is a child abuse expert and a survivor. JoDee, you're very welcome. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Simon.
You are truly more than welcome. This is just such a horrific crime that is going on in the underbelly, as it were, of this country in massive, massive numbers. As I just reported, which no one else seems to be reporting, 3,000 kids were just rescued in one American city. That's crazy.
It's really shocking what you just reported. I'm gonna go run down that number as soon as I get off of here, because that is a real problem.
Yeah, really is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about this vigilante group. It's not something we recommend. You've really got to know what you're doing. You could get yourself in all kinds of trouble, including criminal trouble. But we're at a point in our history where there are people that are so horrified by what's being done to kids that they're trying to take the law into their own hands to fix it.
Yeah, I am familiar with these groups. They've been around for a while. I dealt with one pretty recently out of Oklahoma. And, they really, look, I feel so kindred to their mission. But it's a problem. It's a problem in the United States because of this little thing we have called the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you're self-described as a victim, so I'm not exposing you here. It tells us you were a victim. I don't need to know what you went through specifically. You're welcome to share that if you wish to, but I don't need to know that. We don't look for salacious details for the sake of having them. But at some point you got out of that. What gave you the strength to become this expert, this campaigning expert, to put an end to it? You're a mum now as well. When I spoke to you earlier on, you were at your kid's school. We had terrible reception, but that's where you were. You were being mum, and obviously protecting your kiddo.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking, and thanks for your patience with that. Yeah, so I had never told the entirety of what had happened to me until 2024, and my publisher was my outcry witness. I built up the resiliency to become an expert when I was prosecuting these cases. I was a survivor, but I hadn't told anyone. So in the meantime, I was prosecuting crimes against children, and I had children in my office who, would be the victims of crimes, the type that we have vigilantes, going after. And I got them through the process, through grand jury and through the trial process, and I loved it. And I had such beautiful experiences with these kids. It really made a mark on me. And over time, I always longed to go back to that work, and I did. In 2024, for a short time, it would, the vigilantes were the least of the issues I dealt with in the public sector my second time around. And it was just, we're in pretty big trouble from an infrastructure standpoint in our ability to prosecute crimes against children cases. That's why these vigilante groups are popping up, is because the trained professionals are so underwater with the prevalence of these disgusting and vile leads and crimes and allegations. They can't get to them all. So the vigilante groups have stepped up, using that term pretty loosely.
So we've got that going on, and by the way, my wife is my producer, and she just told me the number of kids in Minneapolis rescued by ICE is 3,364 to be exact. As I said, not a number that's being reported anywhere. But anyway, I wanted to be exact. My wife went to the trouble of getting it. You should have it. So, so there you go. We are very much about sweeping this stuff under the carpet, aren't we? And I don't really understand why. This should be the headline of everything that happened in Minneapolis. That should be the headline. They rescued 3,364 children.
I agree with you. And the reason why it's getting swept under the carpet is because for every victim that's a child, there's a perpetrator who perpetrated upon them. And to give these crimes, these situations, the attention they deserve would mean exposing a lot of bad behavior and quote-unquote good guys who do bad things. So I really think that the day is coming when the reckoning will be upon them.
I hope you're right. What can we do? You know, average Joes like me. What can we do to help this situation?
What a beautiful question. First of all, you need to know that there are groups who are professionals at taking tips. I want to direct the listeners to the ICAC, the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, as well as the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, otherwise known as NCMEC. Those two groups alone do more for our country than all of ICE combined. I mean, they are doing the Lord's work by and large, and we need to multiply their capacity by orders of magnitude in order to keep up with the prevalence and the demand for children in our country. So both of those agencies have tip lines, and I would keep those numbers on my fridge if I were you. I would also research the state where I live, the reporting guidelines. Texas, all adults are mandatory reporters of child abuse, and if you have a reasonable belief that child abuse is occurring, you have to report it, or else you could be prosecuted for failing to report.
That's really say that again. In Texas, all adults are mandatory reporters.
That's correct. It used to be only teachers, nurses, doctors, certain types of professionals were mandatory reporters, but that law changed, and now the designation is professional reporter versus, everybody else, mandatory reporter. So all these parents need to know, like, you don't have the option of sweeping this under the rug, or you expose yourself to a Class A misdemeanor penalty.
I'm literally texting the Iowa House Majority Leader that information and asking him if that's the case here, and if not, why not? Literally doing that right now, because clearly, if Texas can do it, we can do it. The legislative language already exists, so we don't have to stress ourselves too much. JoDee Neal, thank you very much. Your website name is really interesting. Before I give it out, I should give it out. It's Neil, Neil, Neil Now Legal, neilnowlegal.com. Explain that for us, will you?
His father was a criminal defense attorney, and he also practiced family law, and he ran for county commissioner in Dallas County in, I think, the 70s. And I still have a little matchbook that was part of his campaign merch, if you will, and it said, "The time for Neil is now." And so when I started my practice, I thought, I'm going to pay homage to my father and do Neil Now, because I do consulting too. I don't do individual cases, so it's a good umbrella for me. Okay.
JoDee, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Very interesting and disturbing conversation always, but I appreciate you coming on and talking to us about it. So have yourself a good and safe rest of the day, ma'am, and a wonderful weekend. We appreciate you.
You too. I'm at your service anytime.
God bless you. You take care.
You too.